All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Waharakak Double honors to the apostle, others a great millstone, and salutations to you, Akim, out there laboring and doing this work in truth and sincerity. And this is another recent story of Esau's treachery, against our people. White restaurant manager gets 10 years in prison for enslaving a black man with disabilities. And, I'm about 3 minutes in, but, I'm not going to play the clip on my video. So as to avoid any possible strikes, but I'll read the description. And this was, premiered about 9 hours ago. So, this was, pretty recent event. Says, according to a press release from the Justice Department, Bobby Paul Edwards received a 10-year prison sentence after he pleaded guilty to 1 count of forced labor. Edwards, the owner of J&J Cafeteria in Conway, South Carolina, forced John Christopher Smith to work extensive hours at the restaurant. Prosecutors said that Edwards would subject Smith to physical and emotional abuse whenever the victim made a mistake or failed to work fast enough, and he would beat him with belts, fists, pots, and pans at times. Edwards was also ordered to pay $272,952.96 in restitution to Smith, who was mentally challenged. So obviously, he preyed upon this Jake, basically because of his mental, weakness, Otherwise, if he targeted sane-minded Jake, he probably wouldn't have been able to, get this far, with him. But otherwise, these devils is going to get what they deserve as a whole, as for their entire nation, for the treachery and oppression of our people, for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Natives. And that day of restitution is coming. It's not going to come in the form of, Salakia, in the form of reparations. It's actually gonna come with their forced labor, their blood, sweat, and tears, for 1,000 years, and that's balance according to the Most High. That's balance that even though He allowed these devils to take us into captivity and subjected us to cruel and unusual, punishment, being under captivity under these devils, they're also going to go into captivity, as well as the rest of these other nations. I've got to show her pictures of her vehicle in Buckhead the night before to prove to her. This is Obadiah 1:10. It says, "For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee." All right, because at one point, Esau was Jacob's brother. However, but because of the wickedness that Esau has sown against our people for, centuries, that brotherly covenant has been cut off, so they're no longer considered our brother as a nation of people, Going back to Genesis, the 25th chapter, it says, 2 nations shall be separated from thy bowels. So even though we were born from the same womb, we're still 2 different manners of people. It just so happens that the Most High made a covenant with the seed of Jacob, and these Edomites, he has to play the part of being the wicked, which apparently they do their job exceedingly well. Okay? It says, "For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou wast as one of them. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger, neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction, neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. All right, because during in the time of the Babylonian captivity, they pointed us out to, the Babylonian army to seize us, as well as they rejoiced over coming against us during their takedown of the Hasmoneans, as well as when Titus Vespasian with the Roman army besieged Jerusalem in 70 AD. They took hold of our substance, raided our temple, killed and slaughtered thousands of our people, causing them to flee in all different directions, and was even taking our people into captivity even at that time. Says, neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape, neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen, which is the time we're in now, because the Most High is getting ready to bring this judgment with World War III being in place. And, pretty much all of these, all of the armies of the heathen is going to be brought down. And, destruction is going to be going throughout the four corners of the earth. And there's only going to be a small remnant of the nations left that's going to be put in captivity, when our Lord Yahushua returns. All right, so it says, for the day of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. All right, so, the Most High said is a righteous thing to recompense tribulation to them that troubled you. And these Edomites is going to receive a recompense for all the time that they had us in captivity. They're going to receive double. And everything that they did to us is going to be done back to them in righteousness. It says, for as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, which Mount Zion represents, that the word Zion means monument, in the Hebrew, And Salakia, it says, but upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. All right, so in the kingdom, at the end of our captivity, that's where we're going to be perfected, and we're going to take these nations' lands for our possession, and the house of Jacob shall be fire, and the house of Joseph, representing the house of Ephraim, with the rest of the northern kingdom, which is you so-called Puerto Ricans, you so-called Mexicans, Cubans, and so forth, and the house of Esau for stubble. And the house of Esau representing you so-called white people. And they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord Yahweh has spoken it. Okay? So, hey, it's already prophesied that, yes, we're going to have these Edomites in slavery, and to a period of about 1,000 years, that yes, they will be done away with as a nation. You know, so that recompense is coming. So with that, you know, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Waha Rakha Kwadash. And with that, I say Shalom.